the one guy who did make a great play on a ball on what was an imperfect pass and a great reception was Xavier Worthy down the left side against the Texans. Nate, what if Worthy does have sort of the exclamation point on his rookie season against the Buffalo Bills?
Well, Josh, it would be well timed.
Thanks for listening to KC Sports Network, proudly presented by Emprise Bank. If you're thinking about starting a business or know someone who is, check out Emprise Bank's SBA loans. It's always good to know your options, and they can be your partner in possible.
5 things to watch here on KC Sports Network, getting you ready for the AFC Championship game.
Chiefs again.
Bills. The AFC Championship game. The Arrowhead Invitational. Chiefs Bills, the 4th time that these two teams have matched up in the playoffs. This show is brought to you by Batchelder Family Farms. You can now order Batchelder's fresh farm-raised products online in just a few clicks, and you can visit their farm store for the freshest cuts and other locally sourced products Wednesday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., 20810 South Prospect Avenue in Belton, Missouri. I mean, they got pasture-raised beef and bison. You hear that? Little bison action there this weekend, jerky and eggs. Maddie, I know you are hungry for some buffalo this week.
Always hungry for some buffalo. The Chiefs hopefully are too, because that is, who they will be coming into town for the chance to go play in the Super Bowl. So that's what happens if you win the AFC Championship game. I'm about to very soon here get on a plane, and I will be flying to Dallas. I have to tell them to stop in Kansas City actually to get some jerky. That would be a nice little pit stop for me. But I will be seeing you in person here soon, as has become a tradition here at KCSN. We are always covering the Shrine during the AFC Championship game, and because, well, you as Kansas City Chiefs fans know nothing but AFC Championship games, that means that's all we ever watch this game from is together. Whatever city we are in covering the Shrine, we all get to be together and kind of watch it. So it's always a really cool thing. We love doing it. We usually do a live watch along during it. It's a lot of fun. So I am very excited for that, as well, to see all of my KCSN friends. So I'm excited to get not only to this game, but to this weekend and get everything going. And some Buffalo sounds good too, Ken.
Make sure you're checking out all the stuff we got on KC Sports Network this week, because it is going to be a big week and we're going to be doing a lot of good stuff. I think we might be doing a live watch party. I can't remember. I think that might be in the works while we are in Dallas. And then we will be doing a live post game immediately after. But this is 5 things to watch. You're going to hear from a variety of voices here on the network. We always kick this thing off. And our thing to watch, I saw a tweet from Thad Brown 7. As players who missed the first Chiefs-Bills game. For the Bills, it was Matt Milano, the linebacker, Spencer Brown, the offensive tackle, Dalton Kincaid, the tight end, Keon Coleman, the wide receiver, Dwan Smoot, the defensive lineman. For the Chiefs, Isaiah Pacheco, Hollywood Brown, Jalen Watson, Charles Omenihu, Harrison Butker. Matt, if I asked you who is gaining more from that first matchup, is it the Chiefs or the Bills?
Ooh, that's kind of tough. I think it's the Chiefs are gaining a little bit more from that. But it's a little bit tighter than I think we as Chiefs fans think going into it. We focused on the guys that the team was missing for our team was missing for that, and not who the Bills were missing. And getting back a Milano, a Spencer Brown, and even a Dalton Kincaid, all kind of matter a lot. Whereas with the Chiefs, we all know Jalen Watson, Hollywood, all those guys, you just mentioned them all. It matters. I think it's pretty even in terms of who they're getting back. I do think the trickle-down effect, though, of having a Jalen Watson and a Charles Omenihu back for the Chiefs probably outweighs just a little bit of who the Bills are getting back, because I think those two guys in particular will allow a lot of other players for the Chiefs that maybe were forced into roles that they weren't ready for at that time of the year, or were put in positions that they weren't comfortable with. That might be gone now. So I'm going to give the Chiefs a slight edge just because of that. But the Bills are also missing some very, very good football players that matter a lot to them.
Yeah, absolutely. And Matt Milano's been one of the best linebackers at certain points in his career. He's been one of the best linebackers. He's not maybe necessarily the same guy he's always been, but he's still a very good player coming off a pretty good game against the Baltimore Ravens. He did pull up early in that game, 4 plays before the game was over. Appeared to hurt himself and didn't finish the game. has a hamstring injury that he is dealing with. So we'll see what version of Matt Milano we are getting for this AFC Championship game. Spencer Brown, like, he's really come along this year. I think he's taken a big step for the Buffalo Bills this year as the right tackle for this team. Very good as a run blocker, and his impact certainly should be felt. Dalton Kincaid, I think the thing that gives me some pause with him, like, hey, like, tight ends have given the Chiefs fits, and he's probably their most athletic tight end in that room. And Keon Coleman, win some plays at the catch point. Who do you think makes the biggest impact for the Buffalo Bills in their return?
I mean, it's Spencer Brown for me. And so in that first matchup, Ryan Van DeMark played at right tackle for them, and the Chiefs weren't really able to take advantage in terms of like breaking the game for the Chiefs. Like, they weren't able to just beat him over and over again to where the Bills couldn't function. So maybe the gap is as big as some other spots, but I think Spencer Brown, for what this Bills offense does, is so important. He's really, really good in their run game. Like, he is a key part of this run game that they are going to probably heavily lean on in this football game. And then more so, like, his ability to just be on the same page as Josh Allen and get out in front of Josh Allen when he breaks contain and starts to scramble. So whether it's Spencer Brown getting beat or just recognizing what's happening, he really does change games to give Josh Allen a lot of extra time. So I think him coming back for the Bills is probably the biggest one, but maybe that's countered by Charles Omenihu, who has been not the Chiefs' second, that's gone to George Karlaftis, but their third best, pass rusher since he's been healthy, since he's kind of come back. He gets these splash plays. He can really win these one-on-ones and present a lot of problems. So maybe those two can kind of cancel out each other a little bit, as you now have two guys that weren't playing in the first game going up against each other. So yeah, we'll have to see how it plays out. I think the biggest guy coming back, though, is Jalen Watson, right? He comes back. The Chiefs had a lot of trouble. Najee Johnson was targeted quite a bit in that first Bills game to a lot of success. Chamari Connor on the inside was targeted a lot. When you get Watson back, that might allow you to move Trent McDuffie around a little bit. So now not only do you get a better corner on the outside who can hold up his own against a Bills receiving core that's just okay, but you also now have the ability to move Trent McDuffie around and chase whatever matchups that you want with those two. Move him, get Chamari Connor out of these primary coverage roles that he really struggled in the first matchup. So the best guy returning, or not the best, but the most important player returning for either team is Jalen Watson for me.
I agree with you. I think that's a big impact player. Don't sleep on, and not from an overall impact. Like, I don't think he's to make the most impact in this game relative to everybody else, but I think Marquise Brown can sneakily add some value in this game. Like, I know it's kind of going under the radar a little bit, but he looked really good when he was getting some options, some free releases in that game against the Pittsburgh Steelers, and Patrick Mahomes looked to trust him and give him the ball. I think there will be some more opportunities for Marquise Brown to have opportunities. Hollywood Brown in this game, like, I think he's going to have some chances to make some plays, and I think he's going to. Like, we talked about the vertical passing game. It's not just Xavier Worthy that can get down the field. Marquise Brown can too, and he almost came down with a really difficult catch, and it was a great throw by Mahomes, but it's still a big challenge. Like, I think they're going to be able to spring a Marquise Brown or a Xavier Worthy in this game. It might just be Hollywood in this game. So I think you can keep an eye out on Hollywood as well as someone that can make an impact. I actually think, all five of the players the Chiefs are getting back, I'm really excited to see that, like Pacheco, Hollywood, Jalen Watson, Omenihu, and Harrison Butker, having that reliable kicker we've seen matter in this Chiefs team's pursuit of a three-peat and over the course of, other runs to a championship. All right, let's hear from our guy, Matt Hamilton. He is 1/3 of Matter Days. Hamilton, what you got?
Thanks, guys. And the one thing I'm looking for in this game is how the Chiefs' run defense stacks up personnel-wise against the Bills' run game. Because the Bills have been, since Joe Brady has taken over as the offensive coordinator, really going back to last year, the Bills have been the heaviest run team in the postseason. It's been, as much as we like to talk about Josh Allen and what he does throwing the football so far in these playoffs, it's been the Bills' run game that's been the most dangerous part of this offense. Obviously, Josh and his legs are a big part of that as well. But that's going to be the key to the Chiefs winning this game, how they corral that. And it's interesting to note the change of approach that we've seen in these playoffs. During the regular season, when the Bills were in 11 personnel, they only ran the ball 35% of the time. That's their most utilized personnel grouping into the playoffs as well. But 35% run out of it in the regular season. They're now 55% run out of 11 personnel in the playoffs. So I'm interested to see how Spags counters that. Do we see a little more Leo Chanel against 11 personnel, a little less nickel, a little more base with Chanel on the field. Do they stay in nickel and adjust if they're having issues with it as the game progresses? I think that's going to be a big key here. How the Chiefs want to match up personnel wise to that Bills 11 personnel, because they're 55% 11 personnel. The other 45, it's 12 personnel, 21 personnel. They bring in an extra offensive lineman. Those are their run heavy formations, and they're going to run the ball almost 70% out of the time out of those personnel groupings. So we know Chanel will be on the field for those. It's those 11 personnel sets, how the Chiefs decide to match up there. And then how the Bills counter. Do we see the Bills start to throw a little more if the Chiefs counter with that, with their base personnel against their 11? So I think that is going to be that little chess match within the chess match is going to be the key here. And if the Chiefs are able to corral that Bills run game, however Spags decides to do it, I think it's going to be it's going to be tough sledding for this Bills offense. I think when you look at the playmakers they have in that passing game, Shakir's been awesome all year, but I think McDuffie can neutralize him. There's not really that game-breaking talent in the passing game from this receiving core that we've seen in the past. So if they can corral this Bills run game, I think things will look very good for the Chiefs as they try to do what no team looking for a three-peat has ever done, and that is even just make it back to the Super Bowl with a chance to get that third Lombardi in a row. So I'll send it back to you guys for more.
That's our guy, Matt Hamilton. He is on Wednesdays on the Lab Matter Days. Always great to hear from him. You can also hear him on Up and Adams on FanDuel. We're going to take a break. We'll be back right after this.
Shop Chiefs tickets and more with no fees. Plus, save big with code KCSN at ticketsforless.com, the official ticket provider of KC Sports Network.
5 things rolling on here, presented by Batchelder Family Farms. And it's time for Beef of the Week. Our guys at That Football Show, Tucker D. Franklin, Matt Vanderan. Beef of the Week, what you got?
Beef of the Week here on 5 Things. Tucker Franklin, Matt Vanderan, hanging out with you, giving you the Beef of the Week presented by Batchelder Family Farms and KC Buffalo Company. That is important for this week because if you are looking for something that will help the Chiefs beat Buffalo, check out their newest bundle. It's the KC Buffalo Playoff Bundle. $50 gets you 2 packages of a 1/3-pound bison patties, 1 package of bison brats, spicy or regular. Those are very good. Or the bison hot dogs, a pound of those. 1 package of 4 ounces of old-timer bison beef jerky. Eat more Buffalo. You can order online, pickup or store pickup only. No delivery on that bundle there, but they got you covered at their store. You can go check them out at 2810 South Prospect Avenue in Belton, Missouri, Wednesday to Saturday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. So you can go swing by and get some of that for your parties, for your tailgates, for you getting ready to watch this Chiefs team take on the Buffalo Bills. And you know, Matt, there's never really a shortage of beef when these two teams play. And, you know, I think no matter who we would have had in this AFC Championship game, we would have had plenty to talk about for Beef of the Week. But we got to talk about one guy who is going out of his way to make sure that he's on the Chiefs bulletin board this week. And this is not the first time that this guy has appeared on Beef of the Week in years past. And for the Chiefs bulletin board, it's Dion Dawkins saying some things that, admittedly, hand up, I saw the quote written out. I didn't think very much of it. I was thinking, oh,
Same way.
like that's not nothing. Why are people upset about this? And then I saw the clip of, was it Jim Rome? He on Jim Rome, right? Is that what it was?
I believe so. You see the clip, you're like, oh, that's why.
Yeah. He's like, oh, that's why people are upset. Wanted to make sure that people know that the Kansas City Chiefs are the former world champions.
Which, as a writer, they're not the former, they're the current Super Bowl champions. If I wrote that they were the former Super Bowl champions, my editor would be like, no, here's some more training. They're current. Former means that they're no longer. Last I checked, if they're not the Super Bowl champs, I'd love to know who is. If I were the Chiefs, I would actually correct the record. But actually, 2-time current defending Super Bowl champions.
Yeah.
Listen, this is one of these things. I'm not going to sit here and say it's going to have some big difference on Sunday, right? Like, I don't think the Chiefs are going to be lining up across Deion Dawkins going, all right, I remember what he said, right? Like, you're not doing that. That's not the way this thing works. I got to tell you. Why? Like, why? Right? Like, what are you doing? It's a terrible idea to feed into. Like, it's a now. Look, it is nowhere as disrespectful as like the Burrowhead stuff a couple of years ago at Cincinnati. I'm not equating. It's not even close. But like, I felt the same way about that. Like, no one was lining up against Mike Hilton. Man, all right, Burrowhead, right? But it was one of those things. Like, that is just gonna fuel their fire. And if you don't think that they are acutely aware that Deion Dawkins is calling them the former Super Bowl champions, you're out of your mind. Believe me, they know. I'm sure Bobby Stroop has it on a loop right now to Mahomes. Like, they
Retweeted it already. Yeah.
of course he did. Yeah. Like, they know. It's never a good idea to do that. There is no benefit. Like, if I'm Sean McDermott, I'm like, hey, Deion, what benefit is there to this? What is the benefit? And by the way, Deion Dawkins is a terrific player.
Good.
The enduring image I have of him playing against the Chiefs is him getting walked back at warp speed into Josh Allen on a very, very critical play last year in the playoffs, and they'd kick a field goal and wide right. So if I'm Deion Dawkins, like, the last thing I'm doing is gassing that team up before this game. It's not a good idea. It usually does not end well.
You know what does end well, Matt?
Beef of the week.
Beef of the week. KC Buffalo Company. Go get that bundle, the KC Buffalo Playoff Bundle. 2 packages, 3rd-pound bison patties, £1 each. 1 package of bison broad, spicy, regular, or bison hot dogs. 1 package of 4-ounce old-timer beef jerky. Help the Chiefs beat Buffalo, Batchelder Family Farms, Batchelder, or KC Buffalo Company. Go find them, 2810 South Prospect Avenue in Belton, Missouri, Wednesday to Saturday, 10 a.m., 5 p.m. Get fired up. Beef of the week. That's going to do it, Matt Veram, Tucker Franklin. We'll talk to you guys later. Let's send it back for more 5 things.
That's the fellas at That Football Show, Tucker Franklin, Matt Verderam. Let's move on and get some opinions from our guy, Ben Heisler. It is Benny's Picks.
Ken, thank you, sir. What's good, everybody? Welcome into this portion of 5 Things. My name is Ben Heisler, and I'm thrilled that we get to continue this segment going into the AFC Championship game, a classic rematch of Bills and Chiefs. And we have our plays over on Underdog for this week that I'm thrilled to share with you. And hopefully, for those of you that have been tuning in to 5 Things and have also been reading the KCSN newsletter, you would note that things have been going pretty good since week 14. Got off to a bit of a slow start this year, but we've gone 14-4-0 with these Underdog picks since week 14. 2-1 last week. That Xavier Worthy 1 rush for -8 yards did not help. We thought that he would get the ball at least one time on a carry. Turns out that going backwards does not help when it comes to taking a higher play over on Underdog. But regardless, still hit with Travis Kelce touchdown. That hopefully boosted you up a little bit, as well as Dalton Schultz for targets. Got 2 plays on the board for this week. If you have not signed up for Underdog yet, I'm not sure what you're waiting for. Maybe for the Super Bowl. That's fine. You can, but make sure you guys use that promo code KCSN. There is a free play on the board this week. Once again, it is Patrick Mahomes to go higher than 0.5 total yards over on Underdog. It is available as a free play. Make sure you guys use that promo code KCSN. It is a great opportunity to score up to $1,000 in bonus cash on your first deposit. Plus, you get this championship round free pick with Patrick Mahomes. All right, let's go into our top 2 plays on the board for this week. We're going to start with the postseason magician, the ageless wonder, and that is Travis Kelce. And I'm actually going to go lower on the board for him, and I'm going to go lower than 9 targets for Travis Kelce this week. And I know last week, if you were watching, I pretty much waxed poetic about this incredible run that he's on in the postseason. We know what the record is. We know that he's surpassed Jerry Rice as far as receptions go. The expectations for last week, though, weren't even that high. He was projected for about 52.5 receiving yards, doubled that, probably actually went more than doubled it. And the part of the reason that we picked him to get a little bit of that boosted number for the that to go higher than 0.5 rushing or receiving touchdowns is that it was just a good value because last week he scored his 18th touchdown in 23 postseason games. So you might be asking yourself, okay, he was clearly the number one option targeted in the Houston game. They're going to need him to once again come up big in this Buffalo game. Why fade him here? Everything has just gone up so much for Kelce. Like, think about it where it was last week to where it is this week. And sometimes, again, you're not making a play on the player, you're playing the number here. And despite Kelce being by far and away last week the most targeted pass catcher on the Chiefs, guess how many targets he actually had? 8. So now that number's gone up to 9. And think about the performance that he had last week. There's going to be more attention paid to Kelce. Buffalo's done a good job against tight ends throughout the course of the season. And if anything, where Buffalo's weakness is in the running game. But I also think they're going to dare Kansas City to try to beat them with Kareem Hunt, with Isaiah Pacheco, who I know Hunt's had a better game last week, but overall throughout the course of the year, he was averaging around 3.5 yards, if that, per carry. There just wasn't that same type of explosiveness. He was breaking tackles, but the big plays weren't happening. And I think if you're Buffalo, it's like, okay, do we let Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce beat us down the field, or do we let Kareem Hunt and Isaiah Pacheco maybe gash some big yards? And if they do, we adjust. That's what I think we're going to see. I think it's going to be more run heavy, or at least attempts. There's not going to be as many guys staffed in the box. We'll see more nickel and dime defense from Buffalo. I look at Kelce and say he could still have a very productive day. He could still have 5-6 catches, maybe 7 or 8 targets. I don't think he's going to get targeted more than 9 times, and I think that's a good number to go lower than here in the the AFC Championship game. So give me the 9 targets for Travis Kelce this week. Second play on the board is on the Buffalo side. I like Khalil Shakir, their slot receiver, to go higher than 4.5 receptions. He's been their most consistent receiver, not just in the postseason, but also all year. Stephon Diggs goes and gets out of Buffalo, gets out of town. And Shakir really stepped up this year. And one of the crazy stats about Shakir is he just doesn't drop the ball. And that's continued throughout the postseason so far. 6 receptions in both games. He's been targeted 13 times. And of those 13 targets, he's caught 12 passes, 0 of them drops. Most consistent weapon, I mentioned that. They also use him in the slot and in the middle of the field. And that's where you target the Chiefs defense. We've talked about all year long, the Chiefs worse than the NFL at allowing receptions and yardage to tight ends. Started with Isaiah Likely just trampling them in the Baltimore game in week 1. Dalton Kincaid, Dawson Knox, they'll see some targets, but it's just not as reliable of an option versus Shakir, who's still going to be in that same area of the field. And we know that Josh Allen's going to throw him the ball. And I also think because his target number is set at 7.5, remember, he doesn't drop the ball and he pretty much catches everything that's thrown his way. So the discrepancy of 2.5 from receptions to targets, I think, is a big advantage here. And so I really like the hire for Shakir when you know he's going to see plenty of opportunities, when Buffalo's going to have to score points to be able to move the ball down the field and have some chances in the middle of the field where the Chiefs are most vulnerable. I love this play. I think this is a really good number for Shakir. Wouldn't surprise me if this ends up going out over the course of the remaining part of the week. So again, just 2 plays on the board for AFC Championship Sunday. Give me lower than 9 targets for Travis Kelce and give me higher than 4.5 receptions for Bills receiver Khalil Shakir. Don't forget to use that promo code KCSN. You get your free pick. You get that first time deposit up to $1,000 bonus. That free pick, of course, Patrick Mahomes to go higher than 0.5 total yards. Big day. Awesome game ahead. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And hopefully we'll be doing this again in a few weeks, talking about Super Bowl plays on Underdog involving the Kansas City Chiefs. Can't wait. Enjoy the matchups. Ken, send it back to you, my friend.
That's Ben Heisler with Benny's Picks, and it is time to close this show the way we always do. The fellas at Only Weird Games, Nate Taylor, Seth Kaiser, and Joshua Briscoe. Only Weird Games, what you got?
All 3 of us from Only Weird Games to give you one thing that is going to play, we believe, a massive role in the AFC Championship game. Chiefs, Bills, Patrick Mahomes, last week in the divisional round, only successfully threw passes to one wide receiver, being Xavier Worthy. No completions to Hollywood Brown or DeAndre Hopkins. A lot of Travis Kelce in this game. So can they move the ball downfield against Buffalo? Seth, if they do, it's going to start with a necessary thing up front, I believe, which is letting Patrick Mahomes drop back. Is that going to happen?
I sure hope so. You can dial up deep shots that take approximately 2.5 to 3 seconds. You can do that, but you can't have pressure coming in 2 seconds. You can't do it. And you had that too often against the Texans. That's a big, big, big deal. They're going to have a few times where they're going to dial up an intentional deep shot. And you saw that against the Texans a few times, whether you had a rolling pocket, a play action, just various things that were done to buy Mahomes 3 full seconds, 3.5 full seconds. And multiple times against the Texans, to their credit, they put a lid on it. And you saw him look down the field, and it's the playoffs. Mahomes is not reckless in the playoffs or even close. He, especially when the defense is playing as well as it is, he just does not take risks with the ball down the field like he used to. And he shouldn't. And so those dialed up shot plays, you got to hit on one or two of them. You can't, the margin of error is so thin on those. The Hollywood Brown drop was a good play by the defender, but that's got to get hauled in. The receivers have got to haul in contested stuff. I'm not saying all the time, but half the time, you've got to make some of those catches, whether you're Brown, Hopkins, or Xavier Worthy. You've got to bring in some of those tougher ones because down the field, perfect throws are rare. But the protection's got to be there in terms of consistently dialing up deep shots and not only being able to do it with scripted shots.
One of the only guys, he was the only receiver to catch a pass, I guess, so there's no mystery in who I'm going to say. But the one guy who did make a great play on a ball on what was an imperfect pass and a great reception was Xavier Worthy down the left side against the Texans. Nate, what if Worthy does have sort of the exclamation point on his rookie season against the Buffalo Bills?
Well, Josh, it would be well timed because there's reason to believe, Tyler Rapp, who might be the Bills' best safety, he's been dealing, I believe, with a hip injury, so he's been limited in practice. We all know DeMar Hamlin is a comeback player of the year award winner, but is not the best safety in the league. So if you do want to have those 3-second deep,
Didn't Joe Flacco win comeback last year?
Yes, he did, sir.
Unbelievable.
They could have given it to Sam Darnold, but hey.
Okay, sorry. Back to I just can't believe.
We
Okay,
didn't
yeah,
give
go
it
ahead.
to a quarterback.
No, listen. In fairness, Joe Flacco came back from Cleveland. Like that is probably a bigger deal, right?
So, look, I believe the Texans have better safety play than the Bills have. But the Bills are so good in the front seven and particularly at the cornerback position to where they can mitigate that weakness or, expose it less often than maybe some other teams. But if you want Hollywood Brown and Xavier Worthy, because I think those are the two ideal threats deep, who's to say Justin Watson won't run a deep route? Because shoulder shrugs. He might, based on formation and pre-snap knowledge, he might be the one. But for Xavier Worthy, it would be really compelling for him to have an impressive game, one that comes with a touchdown, or maybe even something that we've seen in the past with Marquez Valdez-Scantling. Hey, just have 2 deep catches that lead to touchdowns. That obviously help the team move the ball down the field and get a touchdown. And you'll be, remembered very fondly in your rookie season, while also realizing that not only have the Chiefs eliminated the Bills in 3 of the past 4 postseasons, but they also agreed to a trade which allowed them, the Chiefs, to acquire Xavier Worthy, to then eliminate the Bills yet again. There is some richness if that actually happens, because I know Brendan Bean said at the time, Josh, well, it's a good trade for us. We only worry about us. You might want to worry about why the Chiefs want to trade up when we all knew they needed another receiver, and that receiver could be perhaps a difference maker as to why the Chiefs go back to the Super Bowl.
It will certainly be a rich matchup one way or another. The AFC Championship game. That is one thing that will matter. There are a lot of things that will matter, and then we'll break it all down for you next week right here on KCSN.
All right, that's the guys from Only Weird Games, and that is going to do it for 5 things for the AFC Championship game. Make sure you're checking out everything we've got. KC Sports Network. We've got a lot of great shows. We're going to have live shows, and we're going to have all kinds of great content out at the East-West Shrine Bowl as well. Thank you all so much for listening, watching, supporting. I'm Ken Swanson. I'll catch you later.